City Council meeting of December 6th to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman Sorrentino.
Here.
Alderman Sizmarsky.
Here.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Mayor Police.
Here. I declare a quorum present. Please stand, join the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, need a motion to approve the city council minutes of November 15, 2018. Alderman Sizmarsky first.
Second.
Any comments, corrections, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Next, do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? I have one gentleman, Greg Canula. Did I say that right? Kavula, I'm sorry. If you could go to the podium. Is the microphone on, Chief?
Yes, sir. It's okay, I'm going to test it down. This is two properties.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm not going to introduce myself because I think everybody already knows me, or most of everyone. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you guys are aware that the city made us put the house on Oak at 25 feet setback line. On the original plans that we submitted to the city, our setback line was at 35 feet. And at that inspection, for the footing inspection, the city inspector failed us because apparently our house, we excavated the hole in the wrong spot. So then we had to go and basically rework the plans again, not to mention that getting the permits approved in the first place took us about 3 months, and it cost us about $23,000 in fees, along with the permit fees and bonds, however you name it. I name it a permit fee because in order to get a permit fee, I have to pay for everything. And we recently just got approval for a permit on Pine, 170 Pine, and I got a bill of $37,000 for a house that's 1,880 square feet. So it's a little bit bigger than the homes built in 60s. And I just want to say I'm not sure how the citizens or anybody can build in this town anymore, because if you just if you go around, we submit for maybe 50, 100 permits a year or more. And on average for a house like this, for example, in Arlington Heights, for a $2 million house, we paid $7,500. In Itasca, you'll probably pay maybe $8,000 for everything, all fees, not $37,000. Here, when you call for inspection, you need to wait a day, 2 days for inspection. And for example, just next door in Itasca, you can call in the morning, they do inspection in the afternoon. I can wait for inspection for 2 days, but I cannot live with a $37,000 fee because I think it's crazy. If you can imagine yourself being a homeowner, working with a general contractor, and working on buying a piece of property, and then knowing that the construction cost is going to be, let's say, $400,000, thinking that the inspection, that the permit fees are going to be $15,000, and then you get hit with $40,000 bill. How are you going to come up with that kind of money if you work at a bank, maybe at a Dollar General or Jewel? How are you going to come up with that money? unless you're a millionaire, you're not able to build in Wooddale. I gave you 2 folders. You can also see how long we wait on average for a revision. For example, on a house on Oak, there were times when we submitted for permit and we waited a month for it to be reviewed. And you have everything in those folders, so you can read. This is quite a bit of stuff, so if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'm always around. What I can say is that we work with majority of the villages across. We did over 3,000 jobs in Chicagoland area since 2004. And I can say that right now, I would place City of Wooddale on #1 hardest city to work with. That's pretty much all.
Yes, I'm familiar with Greg. We met a few times. Very good to work with. He did have some concerns and questions, and he was able to provide me with some information to go and do some research and figure out about the fees and escrows and letter of credit and whatnot. I haven't talked to Greg about the average permit review times yet. That's new tonight, so he hadn't asked me about that. But I did get Greg some information back on the fees, and I still think there's some confusion because the permit fee actually is only $9,200. When we're referencing like the roughly 40,000, the 40,000, half of that is an engineering performance bond for stormwater. And we talked a little bit about that, and Greg wanted me to call around to some of the other communities, and I did that. And all the communities actually coincidentally either have higher or the same as ours. DuPage County stormwater ordinance does not allow the city to go below 110% of the estimated project cost, as Greg probably knows. The 110% of the estimated cost that we're getting that $20,000 from is actually submitted from the builder's engineering estimate, so it's not ours. So they submit the city with that information, and then we are required via DuPage County to then have the builder put up a letter of credit or a bond for the $20,000 in stormwater work. Further, I did want to work with Greg, so I went ahead and I did get Brad, our finance director, involved just to make sure we were understanding all the numbers. He felt the same as far as that opinion, and was able to also call a local bank. Didn't name any names, just did an example project, and for the $20,000 letter of credit, it would cost probably around $500 to $600 for an average length of a project. So it wouldn't be the $20,000, it would be about $500 or $600 through a bank. And there's some other fees and figures that we figured out, but I mean, that's kind of the summary of the big $20,000 expenditure that makes it seem higher, but really every community in DuPage County would have that percentage. And when we did our master fee schedule, I actually looked too, and I checked on that. The council actually just lowered that $20,000 formula. It used to be 115, but we actually lowered it to 110%, which is the lowest DuPage County can do. So it was 115, and we actually lowered it. So there may still be some with 115 or 120 out there. I know our neighbors around here are 110, but there are some that could be 115.
Go ahead.
Jeff, if you can tell me which city charges the amount of money that the city of Wooddale charges, even close. Do you have something, just an example?
Yeah, all our immediate neighbors charge the exact same 110% fee for that. Well, not a fee, the 110% bond or letter of credit.
Okay.
And as far as permit fees, like we had discussed the permit fees, depending on a category of house, depending on commercial, depending on a remodel, depending on a complete tear down rebuild, it's all variable. As I showed you, some are lower, some are higher. It's all variable, so you can't really, it's not apples to apples. As we discussed, it was apples to oranges.
Well, what I can say is that, like I said, we just finished a house that we spent 2 years working on. Actually, one in Arlington Heights and one in Chicago. In Arlington Heights, it took 20 days to get the permit, and we paid $7,500. So And then we also built homes in Wooddale before. It's not our first project in Wooddale. In Wooddale, we have done a house on Sunnyside. We have done a house on Timber Court. And in both situations, I think we paid roughly about $15,000 for twice as big of a house. And it wasn't too long ago. We are talking about 5 years ago. And now, all of a sudden, when we apply, we buy a lot. We try to do work in Wooddale. We try to hire tradesmen, give work to electricians, plumbers, all other trades, buy materials, pay taxes. I'm a job creator, okay? And this certainly doesn't help me to have my money frozen. It doesn't matter if I pay the $37,000 to the city or to the bank. If I get a letter from the bank, not only I have to freeze the money, I also have to pay interest on it. So whatever way you think, if you think this is better for a customer, I just don't see it, and I'm pretty good in math.
Go ahead, Mr. Murmas.
Yeah, the one other example, that was a good example, perfect. I actually talked to a manager next door, and he asked if the builder did a lot of projects in Cook County. Cook County stormwater requirements are significantly different than DuPage County stormwater requirements, so you probably would pay less in stormwater fee or bonds or letter of credit. And additionally, when we talked, I felt as though Arlington Heights was a significantly different comparison and totally not apples to apples, apples to oranges. Arlington Heights permit review times or whatever, and their staff, as we talked about with their software, their online submittals, we'd like to get there. We don't have electronic submittals yet. I'm sure you can understand that Arlington Heights is a
Arlington Heights doesn't
significantly
have it
bigger-
too.
Well, Arlington Heights has significantly bigger city resources.
When you do it when you probably do it like as a percentage, Arlington Heights is probably the same staff as you guys, and I'll probably just do it like this. So I'll compare it like this. And the one thing I would do if I was in charge of the city, I would make sure I survey each and every citizen that applies for a permit. I would make sure that I survey each builder that applies for a permit. Is this a friendly city for business? Is this a friendly city for homeowners? We did a job on 585 West Montrose. We waited 15 weeks for a permit, and 3 weeks. And when we waited for permits, at the same time, I think the staff was laid off, John and Paula and the rest of the building department. So we had to resubmit for permits. And the people were already out of home. They were not living at the house anymore because they thought we were going to get a permit on Tuesday, and on Tuesday everybody was laid off. So the permit process had to restart.
Go ahead, Mr. Murmas. We'll wrap this up.
And this is why I like working with Greg. I respect Greg. That's a great idea. We actually do that in our Public Works Department. We do have the survey cards, so we can easily transition that downstairs as well. That's a good idea, so we will do that.
But make it mandatory.
Well, I can't
Because
have it
if you
mandatory.
do a bad job, you're not going to survey people. I'm not going to ask my customer for a 5-star review if I know that he's not going to give me a 5-star review. This has to be a mandatory survey that all of you guys can see.
Yeah, we do that for Public Works. Like I said, we'll put it down to community development, and the council all gets the Public Works surveys. They get every last one.
All right.
So my question is, how many of anybody that's sitting here would like to pay $40,000 for permit fees, however you call it, on top, of everything that you are spending? How many people, if you do it percentage-wise, that have young families and want to build I tried to do a 2,200 square foot house, basically a move-in house, so we can sell it. It can be inexpensive. We can build more of those around the community so that they can be affordable. They are not going to be over $500,000. And let's say if a normal person is building in Wooddale, how are they going to afford this? They're just going to go to Bensonville. They're going to go to Itasca. They're going to go to Glendale Heights. They're going to go to Arlington Heights. And I guess
Let me say something. So when we changed the master fee schedule, one of the things I brought up was building a house in Wooddale has become cheaper than it was before. I'm not sure how you were paying less before with the old schedule. but I'll make sure I have the attorney look into that kind of stuff. As far as the 40,000, you're saying 40,000 cash. I heard Mr. Murmas already say the permit is 9,000 or something. And then there's a letter of credit. Letter of credit costs you something, I understand. But that's everybody in DuPage County. And we lowered that fee because we were at 115.
You are the only city in DuPage County and
Nobody else-
in the area that does this.
Everybody has to charge that. Mr. Bond, could you answer that?
Yeah, it's the county stormwater ordinance makes the requirements, so it's, the city doesn't have the latitude to impose or to waive that. That's part of the county, and it's an attempt to make sure that throughout the county, that the stormwater, everybody's taking care of their own stormwater, it's not going onto their neighbor's property, it's not creating any issues that would affect the public thoroughfares and other public waterways. So that's a DuPage County requirement. It's imposed, and as the manager indicated, the city of Wooddale has taken it down to the lowest threshold permitted. There is a latitude within the county stormwater that you can take it higher than that, and the council's determined not to do that in order to make it more affordable to build in Wooddale.
Yeah,
Is
I'll be
there-
on- if-
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Just one thing. So can you inform all people before they buy, let's say if somebody comes in and they want to buy a lot, can you inform them how much they're going to pay for all the permit fees? Can you inform them, can there be a sheet along, basically taped to the permit application saying how many percent on average is the permit fee and bond fees in the city of Wooddale? Because to my math, our construction cost was like 200,000, I'm not sure, and we are paying, we are paying over 20% or around 20% in fees, where in normal city, normally it's about 3%. Can you inform all customers so they are not surprised when they go and get a loan and they only get a loan for X amount of dollars, so that they are not struck with a huge bill at the end, and the bank is not willing to give them any more money.
Right.
Not
So-
all people are, as they don't, if you are a normal customer
Right.
and you are a builder, we, right now, if I build
I
in
have a
Wooddale.
question for you
Yeah.
real quick. So you said with the previous director of administration downstairs, you're telling me they never charged you for the stormwater fee? Because that sounds like there was a problem down there.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
about what was before,
But
it's
I'm
about
gonna-
what is now, and
I'm
when
gonna
I
have
build
him
homes
check it out
around.
just to make sure, because it doesn't, if that was going on, then we should look into it. And we will.
That's a different topic,
Thank you.
and that's really, whatever you guys want to do,
Thank you,
you can
Bill.
check all the permits.
We will
all-
look into
For all
it.
builders. I'm not afraid of this, because this is your mistakes, and not like, I would say,
Oh, there was mistakes, what you're
if
telling me.
there is a mistake.
Oh, well,
But the reason why I'm here is because
right, we
because there's
understand.
other cities around, and the permit fees are nowhere near close to what it is in
Right, we
Wooddale.
understand, and Mr. Murmas did the check, and actually, we were one of the lower ones, but thank you for the comments.
I would like to see it on paper
Thank you.
compared to other cities.
Thank you. No comments from the
Well,
council? No
You
comments.
just made a comment.
If he gets a comment.
Point
I
of
get one right
order.
after him.
All right, that's enough. We're not having a debate up here for this, all right?
Well,
That's-
can I ask the
we're- no,
attorney a question?
No,
I have a
no
question.
question. He has a question, you have a question, there's no question, public comment. We responded, that's it.
I would like to
sir.
thank you all
Thank you.
for the time,
Okay.
greatly appreciated, with a great respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, written communiques. I have none. Under Mayor's report, appointment of Jay Babowitz to the Joint Review Board. Do we need a motion? Need a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Question.
Yes, sir.
This review board, what is it reviewing?
The JRB for the TIF. The previous person that was on this was Mr. Joe Coles, and he passed away, so
Okay.
just a replacement.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call on that?
Can I ask how long the term is?
The JRB really doesn't have a term.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do we need it? We've never had the term on this one. Right. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next, under just want to compliment Matt on the lights for Public Works. I had a few residents saying very nice job. We also received an email from the Station Walk Homeowner Association. The president is here this evening, thanking us for the contribution for the fence by the train station. I understand there was a little problem with the snow plowing, but that'll be handled in the spring. And further, we'll handle that stuff, right, Matt? Thank you. Then I have one other thing. I've had a few questions since the Shape of Wooddale. I have to be honest. So I'm going to read a little letter here. I'd like to clear up a couple of items that came up at the Shape of Wooddale 3 weeks ago. We had a question about the city losing a check. This was not true. We did not lose a check. There was an employee of the developer that dropped off a check as a cash bond for a project and asked if we could hold the checks so they could bring a letter of credit instead, due to the fact they were changing banks. So we were told. Before the letter of credit was received, this employee of the developer unfortunately was indicted for embezzlement by the federal government. Thus, we really didn't have a check that was any good as a bond. So we didn't have anything to return to the developer, but because we never received any actual funds. But the project is completed, and we did work with the developer. You know, unfortunately, he had an employee that, can't control that kind of stuff. Second question was a request was made to review the city council actions by the Attorney General. Let's start by saying if any individual complains to the Attorney General, they will look into it. The Attorney General received 2 requests. The first was from Roy Wesley, one of our own aldermen. He had a complaint. And the second was from Ken Johnson. Both requests were discarded by the Attorney General because they found there was nothing to this nonsense. Naturally, both of these complaints are probably politically motivated, total waste of time, just a ploy to discredit the city council. I had a few people hit me up at church that Sunday, asking me what's going on. So I'm sure if they ask, there's other people. I have the letters with me at all times, if anybody wants to see who they're from, the complaints. One of the complaints was the alderman sent a couple photos to the manager when we were flooding, and they said there was open meetings violation, which it wasn't. Shame on you guys for caring. All right. End of that. Next item, resolution seeking to approve an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Entertainment Management Group for the Prairie Fest 2019 entertainment and stage management services rendered in the not-to-exceed amount of $43,300. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Who was the first? Was it Mike?
Mike.
or Rand?
Mike.
Art second.
Yeah.
Any questions on this? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
And that passes. That concludes my report. Mr. Murmas, City Manager.
Just one item tonight. I mention this every year, and I really encourage people to come. Upcoming save the dates for my 2 favorite meetings of the year. We have a CIP where the city plans for its major infrastructure and capital expenditures for the next fiscal year. That is on committee on January 10th. And the first budget hearing for our operational budget is Thursday, February 28th. Those are my favorite meetings and the longest meetings of the year.
Right.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Consent agenda. We have none. Committee chairman reports. Planning and zoning, Alderman Woods.
I regret to inform you, Mayor, I have no report.
Thank you. Public health and safety,
No report,
Alderman
Mayor.
Sorrentino. Thank you. Public works, Alderman Sismarski.
Mayor, I have one. Resolution seeking to approve modifications to the wastewater local limits as required by the U.S. EPA. That's my motion.
Second.
Tony was the second. Yeah, Alderman Wesley, I'm sorry, apologies.
I have one question. Was this study done with both plants? And what's
Go ahead,
the,
Mr. York.
No, this study was just for the north plant, due to the north plant is the only plant that receives industrial waste, and that's the reason for local limits is due to the industrial discharge programs.
so
Go ahead, Alderman Wesley, follow up.
don't you have to also do a study to the other plant too, down the line?
Not for local limits due to the fact that there is no industrial waste that goes to that, it's only domestic.
All right, that's fine.
Anything further? Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
And that passes.
That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance Administration, Alderman Messina.
Busy one this week. 3 reports, Mayor. First one, an ordinance abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2018 to pay debt service on general obligation funds, alternate revenue source, Series 212 of the City of Wooddale, DuPage County, Illinois. That is my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Peter? Questions on this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
That passes.
Second report is an ordinance authorizing the levy and collection of taxes for the corporate and municipal purposes of the City of Wooddale, DuPage County, Illinois, for the fiscal year commencing May 1st, 2018, and ending April 30th, 2019.
There's your motion.
That is my motion.
Second.
Any questions on this one? Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
And that passes.
Third report, a resolution setting the schedule of regular meetings of the city council and committees of the whole of the City of Wooddale for calendar year 2019.
So moved.
How does that fall under fine?
Do you have a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman, just- Yes, Alderman Jacob, go ahead, sorry.
On the meetings, it seems like a lot of times we have, like, we haven't had a meeting here in 3 weeks. I know it was the holiday, but I really don't understand why we couldn't have met last Thursday. And it seems like this happens more often than not, when we have 5 Thursdays. Is there a way we could fix that schedule? Because it's really like 3 weeks without any type of meeting.
Well, the fifth Thursday is always, in case there's an emergency or something, but we generally don't have a meeting on that. If we have to call a special meeting, I guess we could, or something important, we have to post it, of course, ahead of time. Go ahead,
I
follow
was
up,
just gonna
Alderman
say, I
Jacob.
mean, there typically is things we could be discussing for that meeting. I mean, it's been 3 weeks or how?
Well, we had the holiday plus the fifth Thursday, and that's why we didn't have the meeting. The holiday fell on a Thursday and Thanksgiving, and so we had 2 meetings that we missed.
Okay.
Well, one we
Come here.
didn't do. Alderman Messina, go ahead.
To Alderman Jacob's point, I kind of share the same sentiment. Not that example, though. It's just then you get hammered, weeks later with a huge packet like this. And so I just didn't know if there was maybe prior counsel or somebody's talked in the past about like a gap of time. So to me, if a holiday falls on a Tuesday, there's no reason we shouldn't have a meeting on the Thursday a couple days later. And so for me, those are the instances where I kind of bang my head like, well, why are we not having a meeting? So I don't know. I just hope we can come up with a set of days or just be more conscientious.
And
Some of
we-
these just don't make sense.
And we could do it if Mr. Murmas, go ahead.
Typically, those 3 examples would we historically have not had a meeting on the week of July 4th, the week of Christmas, and the week of New Year's. Typically, that originated because we had quorum issues with people being out of town or lack of agenda items. So that was the genesis of that. It's been like that for a while.
I'm just thinking like,
Go ahead, Alderman Messina.
I'm just thinking like Christmas, right? It's Tuesday. maybe we do a quorum check, but I think we should have a meeting if it's a Thursday, that's 2 days later, because there are some important things that need to happen before the budget year ends.
People leave town.
People
And-
leave town, I mean, if we don't have a quorum,
Right.
then we don't have a quorum, but I think it should still be on as part of
Right.
the,
And if we have, if there's items that need to be discussed, of course, that meeting can be called. That's, again, we need the quorum though.
right.
Right. Anyone else? All right, let's do a roll call.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Jacob.
No.
Alderman Messina.
No,
Are you doing the nose? Okay. Alderman Sorrentino.
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky.
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley.
No.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
and that concludes my reports, Mayor.
Thank you. Under other business, airport noise.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Jacob. Under Stormwater Commission, Alderman Eugene Wesley.
No report, man.
Thank you. Approval of list of bills for December 6, 2018. Alderman Messina.
Yep, one report, Mayor. The list of bills dated December 6, 2018, in the amount of $426,689.45.
So moved.
That was your motion,
That is
Alderman
my motion.
Messina? And
Yep.
second by Alderman Sismarski.
Okay.
I think Sizmarsky made the motion.
No,
Okay,
you-
that's, yeah, he made the
First and
second.
second.
Sorry.
He's a little anxious, that's okay. Any questions on the bills?
I got a question for legal counsel.
For bills?
I guess he could go under bills. If he's here, he's getting paid, so.
Go ahead, Alderman Roy Wesley, yes.
Mr. Bond, on the agenda here, where are we supposed to speak if we have questions? Because I was just shut down the whole meeting.
You weren't shut down the whole meeting. Under public comment, we're not going to start debates.
Well, I had something for under city manager, but you, boom,
Under city manager, you had something?
I had a question for the city manager.
Again,
So-
you could have asked him on the side. Is it for,
Why can't I ask him here? I guess it's a legal question.
go ahead, Mr. Bond.
Public comment is designed to be, let the public and give them an opportunity to comment. It's generally not an opportunity for the council to engage in a discussion. If there is an item at public comment that requires council discussion, the Open Meetings Act requires that to be on the agenda, and it would be placed on a committee or council, future council agenda if a majority of the council members deem it sufficient to warrant that coverage. Otherwise, if there is any issues that come up, for example, under manager's report, when the manager concludes his report, that would be the time to seek to be recognized by the mayor as the chair of the proceedings. The same with other items. If there's a question about the abatement ordinance, at the time the abatement ordinance has a second to the motion, that would be the appropriate time to raise any issues with respect to that particular item. So the agenda items are addressed as they come up on the agenda.
So
Go ahead.
my question is, so when it comes in the city manager, we will have a brief second there, so I could ask the
If
city.
you would have stopped me, I would have called you. I didn't
Okay.
see your hand up.
Okay.
Mr. Murmas?
Just to clarify, question on the report that I gave.
Mr. Bond?
Yes, and again, if any of the aldermen have any, because it may be a question just that that particular alderman has, and those generally are handled outside of the meeting, the manager can have access to whatever files or information would be required, or other staff members to answer that question. But yeah, you're only discussing or asking questions regarding matters on the agenda, including the city manager's report, any items that he reported on. And if there's a question relative to that report, that's the appropriate time, not simply to ask the city manager questions about other city business or operations.
Another question? Go ahead.
Just to clarify, it's something that needs to be on the agenda if we're gonna.
Mr. Bond?
That's correct. The Open Meetings Act requires, if you're going to have a discussion about an item, that item should be, that needs to be placed on the agenda, properly noticing the public in the event that they wish to attend the meeting and make comment at that meeting regarding that agenda item.
So if you have something to ask the manager on one of his items, and there can't be a debate on it or a discussion because it wasn't posted.
It's just,
Go ahead, Alderman Wesley.
for an example, there was a question. There
Oh,
was
that's passing.
a question that I was supposed to get some information on. I did not receive it about a project that we were talking about here.
Then you should talk to the manager right after the meeting.
And it was, it's been a couple of weeks, so.
All right, Alderman Eugene Wesley, I'm sorry.
I don't know why you're having this conversation. Vote on the bills. We shouldn't be having a debate on that.
Because you won't
Okay.
let me talk.
That's not true.
Okay.
Roll call.
It's a bill.
Yeah.
There was no question, no other questions, let's go. He
Alderman
said,
Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Jacob.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Sorrentino.
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky.
Yes.
Alderman E. Wesley.
Yes.
Alderman R. Wesley.
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
all right, that passes.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. We need to adjourn into executive session to review the official minutes, land disposition, and personnel. I need a motion to
So
adjourn.
move.
Second.
Oh, fix that, would you please?
Mike and Peter. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries.
Yes.